morning, everyone. My name is Armin Copatelli. I'm with DEB USA. We want to spend the next few minutes learning a little bit about making hands matter in the workplace. We have a full complement of products and procedures and programs to protect the skin, properly cleanse it, sanitize, and restore the skin so that workers can do their job effectively without damaged, cracked skin, which can lead to industrial skin disorders called dermatitis. The worker's hands obviously can be stressed from a variety of exposures, from just the outdoor atmosphere, from washing a lot, from being exposed maybe to solvents or greases if they're in the mechanical area, or if they're in the laboratory or healthcare, from using a lot of sanitizers and antibacterial soaps. The skin, the natural barrier, is called the stratum corneum. It's very thin to begin with. The outermost layer, called the natural barrier, is about 10 to 20 blood cells thick. It's very thin. So when you scrape it away with a harsh cleanser, for instance, you'll find numerous cleansers have pumice in them. Try that on your hands. How's that feel?
Rough.
This is a pumice bar used to clean toilets, hardly been used. No, just kidding. But instead of that, we'll use a mild scrubber, either cornmeal or walnut shell. But I really want to start at the beginning. Just let's move a slide here. So up to 40% of workers at some point in their life will have a skin issue. And in the working environment, the average cost of an occupational skin disorder, normally called dermatitis, is about $3,565 per case. So if you have a couple cases in a company, it could be $10,000 or more to pay for this dermatitis or skin disorder. We want to prevent that. And when you do that, then the cost of the product becomes really minimized compared to the lowering of the risk that employees have to deal with and that companies have to deal with. They're exposed to risks every day, spread of germs. Only 30% of people wash hands with soap when visiting a washroom. Did everyone wash their hands when they went to the washroom today? Okay, most. That's like a 10% maybe. No, but 30% wash their hands with soap visiting a washroom. And oftentimes people don't wash properly. They miss. Commonly they miss the back of the thumb in this area. They'll miss the fingertips. That's where a lot of germs are embedded. It's estimated that 30 to 40% of foodborne illness outbreak can be traced to poor personal hygiene. So when you hear of norovirus on a cruise ship, a lot of times those foodborne illness, stomach viruses, are a result of poor personal hygiene. 1/2 of all hospital-acquired infections are preventable through proper hand hygiene. Question, how many hospital-acquired infections lead to deaths? How many deaths per year are there from hospital-acquired infections? Any idea? 10,000? 20? It's low. 70 to 80,000 deaths a year from hospital-acquired infections that are often traced to poor personal hygiene. So hands are at risk every day. It's an invisible threat. And we go to address this issue with essential skincare products, vital information, and changing the standards of behavior. So I want to start with one thing. Most people don't know that there are protective creams to protect their hands if they're working with really harsh chemicals and products. So I'm going to need your hands for a volunteer. Can you come up here? Thanks for volunteering,
No problem.
Jamie. Appreciate it. So this is a protective cream. I want to put this on your palm. Kind of roll your sleeves up a little bit. So Jamie is going to put this Travabond on his hands. If you can show the camera there. You'll be on YouTube. You'll be famous.
Great.
Okay. Just rub that in. Get in the fingernails, back of the hands. Then kind of wave your hands. I'm Italian, so it's kind of like I talk like this anyway, but kind of air dries, helps to dry. And they'll dry to the point where you can work with it. You're probably already feeling it drying a little bit now. So we're going to do a little test. Brought my little demonstration kit. It's a little bit of Permatex gasket cement. Did you ever get this on your hands?
Yep.
It's a little hard to get off, isn't it? I gotta show the fingers. It's gonna rub some on your hands. Just rub both your hands together. But wait, there's more. There's more.
It better come off.
A little powdered graphite. Just a little dose will do you there. Just rub that in now. I don't have my paint in here, but I'm going to spare you the paint. But normally I put paint on you. How would your workers normally get that off? Permatex, gasket cement. I mean, mechanics tell me they use penknife to scrub. Scrub. You might use a hand cleaner many times. You might dip your hands into a parts cleaner bath, which solvents are toxic. You know, solvents are meant to degrease grime and grease off of metal parts, not for the skin, not for the human body. So I'm going to show you. So what I want you to do, Jamie, is kind of cup your hands. I'm going to fill them full of water. You're just going to wash your hands with just a little water. Just kind of let your hands fill up with water. And just gently rub that in like you got a bar of soap in your hands. Give you a little bit more water. I want you to show the audience your hands. It's actually that water is starting to emulsify. I don't know if you can see it that well with his hands. And sometimes with the Permatex you use your fingertip, not the nail, but just to loosen it up a little bit. So this is a new standard of behavior. To use a protective cream, there's a little bit right there. You can just rub your hand a little bit, it'll come on. New standard of behavior to protect the skin prior to work. Now Deb makes 7 or 8 different protective creams for those working with epoxies, multi-component resins, for people working in water a lot, washing their hands, protect their hands. I wanted to save a little water to drink in case they got thirst. No. Okay, let's see your hands. I guess you need a towel, right? Now when you dry, Jamie, tell me how your hands feel.
Not bad.
Not bad? They feel conditioned or anything? Yeah? Okay. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Clean? Okay. Let's give Jamie a hand. Thank you, Jamie. Stop up at our booth and we'll have different protectors for different types of applications. Wet work, which is a leading cause of occupational skin disorders. Having your hands in water, water acts as a solvent, swells the skin cells and they begin to separate in that natural barrier and your skin begins to crack. Cold weather, atmosphere, we have a protection for the face against in cold weather environments, cold food storage work. That's our protection. Now, for sanitizing, I want to pass this sanitizer. Take a shot of this and pass it over. This is alcohol sanitizing, and I'll just pass that down. So the idea of sanitizing, the Center for Disease Control has determined that if there's not water available, then a sanitizer, alcohol or non-alcohol, would be effective. Alcohol sanitizer has at least 99.9% efficacy, germ kill that is. And every extra 9 means an extra 10-fold kill in bacteria. If I have 1 million germs on my hands, and it's common to have 1 million germs on my hands, if I just use soap and water alone, I'll reduce it by about 90%. I'll still have 100,000 germs left on my hands. Now that might seem pretty good, but you got to realize that germs replicate double in size every 20 minutes. So the 100,000 germs left on my hands after washing with soap and water in 20 minutes becomes 200,000. In another 20 minutes, 400,000. In another 20 minutes, 800,000. I'm back to the 1 million germs within an hour. But with a sanitizer, I'll get those extra, they're called logs of protection. I'll get, with the one that we passed around, that's called Deb Instant Foam Alcohol, 99.999% efficacy. So I'll actually get the germ count down to about 1,000 germs instead of 100,000 from just using soap and water. So there is a benefit to using a sanitizer, increased efficacy beyond just using soap and water. And for lack of time, we can't go into a lot of details. Non-alcohol, instead of using an alcohol is pretty safe. Alcohol sands, I mean, people actually drink alcohol to a certain extent. It's a joke. But non-alcohol uses a benzyl alkonium chloride, a disinfectant chemical. So it's a different way of killing germs by disrupting their metabolism. Sometimes germs survive that and they become what's known as germ-resistant bacteria. They survive the chemical reaction of things like quats. So, but alcohol just comes in and just destroys the bacterial cell right off the bat. The latest innovation from Deb USA is called a broad spectrum instant foam alcohol. It's called Complete. And it is 80% alcohol, and that actually has 6 logs of germ kill, 99.9999. It's broad spectrum. In Europe, it's actually been tested against a variety of microbes, molds, yeasts, and viruses as well. But we can get a sample of that Complete to you as well. That's a little touch on the sanitizers. We have touch-free dispenser upstairs for you to try as well. What about cleansing? Well, normal washroom cleanser. I brought a dispenser of our foam hand wash. You'll find foam washes in your bathroom that we make under the Refresh label. Foam has become very popular over liquids, and I'll tell you why. Foam saves up to 45% in water, and water is an expensive commodity these days. Up to 45% savings by using a foam because you don't lather it. You don't have to lather a liquid up. It also uses less ingredients than a liquid, 36% less ingredients. So foam definitely has advantages to remove typical dirt in a washroom. And you can get different kinds of foams, different fragrances. What I should mention is an innovation from Deb. This is an antibacterial dispenser. All our dispensers are BioCoat. BioCoat means a silver ion technology. Silver is incorporated into the plastic when it's made. And silver, you might know, is a natural antibacterial agent. It's been used for hundreds of years. They used silverware. In the Revolutionary War days, they didn't have Whirlpool dishwashers. Silver kept the bacteria from growing on utensils. Within 2 hours of contamination touching on the dispenser, within 2 hours, bacteria starts to degrade. It's 99.99% killed by the end of the day. So that's called BioCoat, a unique innovation from Deb. As far as cleansing is concerned, everybody wants to know, what about heavy grease and grime? Cresto. Cresto, you might know the name, is made with walnut shell. It is considered the most effective for the heaviest contamination on your skin. And walnut shell has an advantage over the pumice, which I tried on your hands. Walnut shell is rounded. It's an amorphous in structure. Pumice is sharp and jagged, really cuts the skin. Cresto will take the heaviest dirt but not damage the skin cells that form the natural barrier. So for lack of time, I'm not going to demonstrate it, but it leaves a unique feeling on the skin. It's almost as though your skin has been conditioned after using Cresto. And it comes in tubes as well as large dispensers. We have several specialty cleansers to address special issues. If you have a printing shop or a video jet ink department, if you're in the graphic arts, those inks and dyes are hard to remove. Large companies, textile companies, they might use some kind of solvent to remove the ink and dye. Problem with that is, again, your body, within 15 minutes, NIOSH has documented in a criteria study that the skin allows the solvents to go through it and it appears in the blood within 15 minutes. So we want to get away, if we're going to have an occupational skin care program, we want to get away from using industrial solvents. So Cresto Color, K-O-L-O-R, is a specialty cleanser to take inks and dyes off if you have a print shop. Painting. What if you have painting? Most painters in a body shop might use lacquer thinner, paint thinner. Again, these chemicals, they're distilled from crude oil, and they are toxic to the system. But it's an easy way to get paint off the hands. So what we'll offer is a specialty cleanser called Cresto Special Ultra. Used to be called Cupran Special or Cresto ATP. And it is designed to take paints, epoxies, marine coatings off the skin if you have employees contaminated with paints. So several specialty cleansers. Now upstairs, I'm going to do the final. I'll give you some samples. I'll pass out a few. But this is the last part of our program. It's called Restore. And Restore, just like a classic car is restored, the skin definitely needs some restoration. And this is a cream. If I put a little bit on the back of your hand, just take a little bit from the tube and put it on the back of your hands. I'll open this up. Let's work that in. This is a thick lanolin cream. Most creams that you buy in a drugstore on sale are 95% water. And when that water evaporates, it takes the natural moisture and lipids away. So your skin can actually get drier than it's been. It's important to have a high amount of fat derivatives in a skin cream. And that's what this Stokolan is. So it can be applied at the end of the day, at the end of the shift, and even at nighttime to help repair the natural barrier called the stratum corneum. What about sunscreens? Everybody used to using sunscreen. You know, the visible light spectrum is what you see. That's visible, right? But then the light that you don't see, the invisible light, can have ultraviolet radiation in it from the sun. And there's 3 of them. There's UVA, which is, that's me, I'm sorry. There's UVA, which is known for causing skin cancer. What's the most prevalent, or the most deadly, I should say, skin cancer? Melanoma. Melanoma is about 13,000 or so deaths a year from melanoma. Melanoma can spread. UVA from the sun is known to cause actinic changes, which are the precursor to carcinomas, skin cancers. So it's important to use a sunscreen to block that UVA. UVB is not quite as long a wavelength. That causes burns of the skin. So when you go to the beach and you get a sunburn as a child, you know, the UVB usually gives you that burn. It can cause some skin cancers as well. And then there's a third wavelength, even shorter, called UVC. The ozone blocks out the UVC. We don't normally get it, except for welders. The welding process generates UVC. So we make a cream that has been tested against not only UVA, B, but also C for welders. Welders tend to get a little burn on exposed areas of their body, around the neck, for instance. Any other questions you can think of? No? Okay. Well, I appreciate your time. Stop up to Deb booth and we can give you any samples, answer any of your questions. Appreciate your time. Thank you.